Welcome everyone to our webinar series by Rezolve.ai. All the people who have made time from their busy schedule to join this webinar, I welcome them. I have a couple of co-hosts with me today, my guest speakers. The first guest speaker is Andre Hurd and Constance Mayaki-Chavez. Welcome both of you, and if you can switch on your videos, that'll be great as well. Hi, how are you doing?
Doing
Doing
fine.
well, sir. How are you?
Welcome to the webinar. We do this series to kind of talk about service desk, AI, and all the things which are related to this industry, and kind of let people understand what is happening in the industry and what some people who are experiencing this firsthand. What are they doing? So I know both of you have very busy schedule and you're trying to do like 100 initiatives at the same time, but I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's get started by talking a little bit about you. So Andre, you are a VP of technology at 24/7 hotels, which has a lot of hotels supporting a lot of hotels concurrently, like big brands, Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, IHG, others. And I know by talking to you that you are, there are things that happen which move around hotels, right? There's some big hotel opening and that consumes you, and then the next big milestone and stuff like that. So, very, very interesting and high pressure life you lead.
To say the least, sir. Just trying to keep up with you, though. But yeah, it's a very fun-filled, very eventful position. So yeah, supporting all of the major brands. Just came back from one specific one in Denver that you know about. We just opened the Cambria Hotel, so that was fun. Yeah.
Cool. And that means opening everything, the infrastructure support there, right? Like everything about that new location, setting it up and all those kind of things, and then supporting in the long run. But I know one more interesting fact about you besides this. You love cars, isn't it?
Can't live without them. So yeah, I'm a gearhead, but not so much that I work on them, but I love collecting and love driving them. So
What's that car right behind you? The picture that we can see.
that is Miss Eleanor. She is from Gone in 60 Seconds and 1967 Mustang. So she is beautiful. That's all I could say.
Welcome. Um, Constance, welcome as well. I remember the first time I met you in a conversation a while back now, and I remember your enthusiasm towards the change. You were embracing it right away. So let me first of all welcome you. You have been at Black Angus for a while, and you bring 11 years of experience in restaurant tech industry. This is such a interesting industry, and uh, where technology is going to make more and more impact in this industry, right? Like this is in industry, the way I see it from outside, which is now switching towards being a technology industry. You specialize in innovation, and you are excited about bringing newer kind of technology to this piece that I know. You are also an outdoors person, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, I don't know, probably about 15 years now. I've loved bicycles. That's my thing. I love going on bicycles outside. It really I can't do any of the indoor spin class stuff. It needs to be outdoor. I need to feel the wind in my hair. I need to go down mountains and be along beach. But yeah, that's my zen. Keeps me
Absolutely.
grounded.
Especially, I mean, after all of us, the modern life that we live, we are grounded in our seats, right? The chairs that we are sitting in almost
Hmm.
9 hours a day. It's terrible, but it is what it is. So you need a counterbalance for all that, right? So I'm
Yes.
I'm more of a hiker and I walk. That's my thing. But being outside is such a bliss. I really enjoy it. All right, so let's get started. Tell us a little. So this is the agenda, right? So we are going to talk about what is happening to your industry first. Then we'll talk about how the service desk is evolving in your industries. How do you see it evolving? Why does AI has started to make sense in this space? What is our journey that you experienced personally of going through this implementation? What have been the results so far? What is the next steps in your journey? What do you see doing next? And what is your future vision, right? And then we'll open it to Q&A to the audience who have joined today. Feel free to ask questions in the interim if we can get to them while the conversation is going on. We'll welcome it. This is going to be very conversational. But if you have any questions towards the end, that's fine too, whichever way you want. So let's get started. So tell us a little bit about your industry, right? And maybe I'll start with you, Constance. Um, you know, what are all of our industries are going through tremendous change, right? So my industry is going through change, and maybe we are bringing that change, but your industry is going through change, and as universities. So what do you educate us a little bit about your context of the industry and maybe even the context of your company?
Yeah, sure. The restaurant and food service industry has been steadily growing. In 2024, sales are projected to surpass $1 trillion for the first time in history. It's the nation's largest private sector employer with approximately 15.7 million people employed in various roles within the restaurant and food establishments. Our challenges and trends, though, operators face intense competition, with 45% of them expecting competition to be more intense than the previous year. Rising labor costs and food costs are a significant challenge for us. And also, technology adoption is on the rise, which helps restaurants streamline all facets of the business. But then, despite technological advances, consumers still value human hospitality in their dining experience.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I think the more it modernizes, we still need to see human face sometime, especially in a dining experience. That makes sense. Perfect. Andre, mind telling us a little bit about what is happening in your industry in general? Hotels, we all use hotels once in a while, and what's going on there?
Right. So our industry has seen a nice uptick in activity since the pandemic. There's been a lot of pent up aggression, as you might call it, for people wanting to travel. So that has, transferred to a lot of activity in the hospitality industry. A lot of companies are growing. A lot of hotels are coming online. We've had 6 or 7 new hotels just within our own portfolio within the last year and a half added. So there's just so much of an initiative to try to make sure that we're using the technology available to us to make all of that growth not too difficult, something seamless, something that we can make sure that our employees are able to manage successfully. So that's been a heavy push, is making sure to use some of these automation features so that growth can be successful and balanced, lead to a balanced life for our workers. A lot also of guest centric focus on our technology usage, making sure that people feel at home when they do travel, which of course, if you're at home, you have a lot of technology in your home. So all of that has to translate to the hotel room. So that's been a huge focus for our company and our industry.
And we don't realize how, I mean, the things keep changing. I was watching a movie recently where it was a movie depicting older time, and there's a person who takes a key to open the hotel door. And I was like, it has been a while since anyone has seen that, right? Like now we go and there's click, and then the hotel room opens, and then the lights come on, and all that kind of thing. So yeah, and I have a feeling that both of your industries single-handedly might have helped us avoid the recession, because there was a time, I don't know, 2022 or something, everyone was talking about a recession is coming, recession is coming.
Right.
And then I would go meet people, and they had planned to eat out as much as they can, and they had planned to travel as much as they could, right? So, and I was looking like, if everyone has so much planned to do these things, how can a recession hit? There's almost an impossible situation. And that's exactly what happened. We didn't hit the recession, right? Like, and I kind of think both your industries were the boat drivers for that. So yeah, great story there. So what does it mean for, and I know, this is now from industry to your particular company, as much as you can share. what do you think it translate to your company, right? And we are going to talk about service desk very soon. How does it all translate? We are moving towards that. But tell us a little bit. What do you make feel about all these changes with respect to your company? So, Constance, maybe you can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, first, I'll give you a little insight about my company. We were founded April 3rd, 1964, Black Angus Steakhouse. Our original founder was Stuart Anderson. We're now headquartered in Burbank, California, and we specialize in steaks and hearty American cuisine. And we're actually celebrating our 60th year anniversary, serving up memorable experiences, which is absolutely great. So it's actually a perfect time to start now ushering in our new wave, right? We think that AI is going to be a big help for us, whether it be back of house, helping my actual my actual employees, and also front facing, talking to our customers, engaging with them. That's one of the main things we're looking at right now.
Okay, amazing. Andre, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, for sure. With regards to how technology is going to be implemented within our specific company, I guess I can start like Constance, giving a little bit of background. Our company is relatively young, started in 2004. We are headquartered out of Newport Beach, California, and we manage almost every major brand hotel outside of Best Western. So there's a lot of opportunities to see how technology is applied within the brand standards, and our specific goal, of course, is just similar to Constance, back office facing, making sure that it's benefiting all of our associates, and also front facing, benefiting the guests. And there's a lot of technology, as you mentioned. If you can imagine having the opportunity to use AI to identify a person's face and connect that with a profile to put, their preferences of what temperature they want as soon as they get in the room, if they like, leather, not leather, I mean, feather pillows or, cotton pillows, whatever the preferences are. We're using that technology to make the guest experience something amazing for them. And on the back end, of course, we're using all of the AI technology for the metrics to drive revenue and to make sure that the jobs are as easy as they can be for the workload of our associates. So there's a lot going on behind the doors, so on both aspects.
Oh, that's a lot of technology. That's just a lot of technology. And love to stay at such a hotel which I check in and the things are right as per my profile. That'll be fabulous.
Right.
So in terms of all these changes coming, so these technologies that are talking about are not service desk, but beyond that as well, right? This is everything. But what does it mean from a service desk perspective, right? You guys both run service desk in your industry, apart from everything else. What do you feel about what it means for that? Yeah, Andre, you want to go first?
Yeah, so anytime you're considering how to have a good option or a good solution for the service desk, it has to be easy to use. It has to be intuitive. You have to assume that the majority of users are not exactly IT people. So it has to be something that they want to use, are willing to use, and are looking forward to interacting with. So specifically for us, that's something we wanted to make sure whatever solution that we chose was easy, not confusing, would integrate with what solutions they're already using, whether that's Office or whatever else. So that was very much the main focus before looking for what type of implementation to use for a service desk.
We did a survey once. We are trying to find out the word that people would associate with the future. It's a marketing exercise, right? And we found the ease or easy is the number one word in our marketing mapping, right? That if you give a service desk manager or leader one word to describe what they want to make it happen, which is easy. And I was noticing how many times you use that word. So that kind of correlates to what we found out in that marketing exercise. But yeah, that makes sense, right? Like people are looking for easy, right? Like they don't want it to be complicated. They want less friction. They want things to happen quickly. Yeah, absolutely, that makes sense. Constance, what do you want to add here?
Yeah, I'm parroting exactly what Andre is saying right now. But one of our big things was taking all of the requests out of email and actually placing them into a ticketing system for the rest of our departments. IT has always had one, but it's always that HR, marketing, they would definitely benefit from having a ticketing system, even procurement. So that's what we were focusing on.
Exactly. I agree with you that this trend of IT needing a ticketing system and the rest of the world not is also changing, right? You know, I'm surprised nowadays, even nowadays, to find companies which have 5,000 employees or 8,000 employees still not having a proper HR service desk, right? Like they do emails and they do phone calls and they might have Teams channel, and forget the other departments like admin and finance and others. Forget about them, they can be completely ignored, I suppose. But you know, even HR is not equipped sometimes, which surprises me, right? Like, why wouldn't be a single interface employee service desk which can do everything for everyone? You know, and now it is possible. So I agree with that. The EM, enterprise service, ESM, right, as a concept, is definitely taking off right now. I agree with that. Fantastic. So, you know, how did your journey start then, right? And I'll start with Andre here. How did your journey start? How far back away, right? Like, tell us a little bit about, what was the point you said, you know what, I need to do something about it. How did that go about? And by the way, I have a couple of questions. I'm gonna just read out to you guys. You can choose to react to it now or later. One question that has come in is, how has AI changed the way your IT teams approach problem solving? So that's one question. And another question is from Mana. In my experience, if the functional lead is progressive and forward thinking, the team is more equipped with IT solutions such as ticketing systems, right? So I think it's more of a comment than question, but I kind of agree with Mana. She's saying that, it's the whole mindset, right? Of if are you forward thinking, are you willing to change, are you looking for solutions, and then ticketing solution or IT solution must be just a part of the picture. But it reflects on everything that you're doing, right? It's not just, oh, I got a smart ticketing solution, but I'm not going to use technology elsewhere. So it doesn't work like that, right? Either the leadership is kind of enlightened and technology driven, or it is not. So I kind of responded to the second one, but the first question was, how has AI changed the way your IT team approaches problem solving? With that, Andre, I'll let you take a shot at kind of describing what happened in your landscape that made
Okay.
you.
Well, I'll answer that question first. With the advent of AI within the ticketing system, we're trying to empower as many users to solve as many problems on their own before needing us as possible. And that's what this platform has the capacity to do, especially if we train it right, if the learning is done correctly. It is very much an empowering system that will allow your users to help themselves first before they need to reach out to us, which obviously reduces workload on our teams, and it actually saves everyone involved time. So that is the mindset that we're approaching AI with, using service desk applications for. And then to start off, I guess to answer these questions, the first one is, when did I start on this journey? Was around January or February of 2022, right as I was hired with this company. This company actually had no set IT department. They were using a third party vendor and were growing at a rate where they realized that they needed to bring IT in house. So I wanted to make sure to start using the most up to date AI solutions available. And that's when I ran into Manish and his team with Rezolve AI. And I am glad that I did. I was able to not have to reinvent the wheel with service desk ticketing systems and so forth. The goal was to make sure to choose an option or solution that integrated with Microsoft Teams. That was our biggest goal, because our company heavily relies upon Microsoft Teams for every aspect, for every department, for communication, and for tracking. So that was a huge plus when I ran into the solution. We implemented the solution. I think it took maybe 3 or 4 weeks starting at the end of February and through the end of March. And it's just been, I don't know another word other than blessing. It's been a great tool to use to be able to prioritize all the tasks that come in, to help people to be able to understand how they can use technology to help themselves. And as Constance was saying, we've been developing this solution to be used within every department, not just IT. Specifically, HR, finance, and marketing, they all have checklists and tasks and follow-ups, workflows that they need to follow, and this solution has been very much a great solution for them to use. And as we progress, it will be used in more departments. And the fact that there are several APIs that can be built in to communicate with other systems is huge. I'm looking forward to developing that because there are some other cloud-based systems that can integrate with this, and we can use all of that AI technology to help automate some of the processes in those other applications as well.
Amazing. No, thank you. Thank you. That was great. I really appreciate, that you are having a great experience. Constance, what do you want to, what has your, what prompted your, journey to beginning of the journey? Tell us a little bit about that.
Funny enough, we started at the beginning of last year in January 2023. And we actually had, it was a both and. One, we were stretched thin. We were in the middle of converting a lot of our platforms, inventory and recipe building being one of the huge ones, and then payroll also. So IT was very stretched thin, helping out all the other departments' implementations. That's when we started to realize, one, we needed a better ticketing system, and two, we needed some kind of level one technician for IT so that we weren't answering the small mundane tasks. Previously, we were with a popular ticketing system. IT department was the only one who used it, and then accounting wanted to add on. When we added them, we realized we had to pay extra for them. And either way, the platform was not able to be customized. So that really was what killed us. And then when we started our selection process, we started looking at other ticketing systems and realized they were the exact same thing with a different logo. It wasn't until we met you, Manish, and Rezolve AI, and we finally found customized ticketing system and the AI bot we were looking for.
No, that's very kind of you to say. And the truth is, like, there's a fundamental shift happening in the industry, right? So there are traditional classic system which are meant for technicians alone, and I like to call them ticket trackers, right? They're ticket tracking. The objective is ticket tracking. The model of reaching out is portal, but everyone knows that people are not going to reach out to portal. 80% of the people are going to write emails and phone calls, right? We all know how that story goes, right? So I think the industry is at a precipice of change where how the model is going to run is going to change. I have a question. People have been asking a lot of questions. There's a great webinar actually. So Carrie has asked a question. What is your staff's response when AI was introduced? Right? Like, did you get some, friction or, pushback, or was there welcome? So, Andre, if you want to go first.
So fortunate for me, I don't know if it's a generational thing, but all of my staff are millennial or younger. So the acceptance of AI was immediate and welcomed. So I did not have much pushback at all. So yeah.
Constance, how about you?
With us, I mean, my people are restaurant people. They're like being on the floor and talking to customers. So for them at the beginning, it took a little bit of time for us to really get them to adopt, but with the help of my operations brass, they quickly figured it out. They started to realize, especially with the IT team and us spending so much time getting our FAQ in order, they started to realize it was actually beneficial to ask Stuart before trying to reach out to us.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And with that, I'm going to skip a few slides because we kind of covered, anything, Constance, you want to cover on this slide about the challenges, or you kind of covered it, everything?
No, it's okay. We covered it.
Okay. So yeah, but your emails looks like your emails were being used. You need level one assistance. So you kind of covered some of that. But yeah, these were your challenges. So I'm going to move a little bit to you know uh, you also covered anything on implementation experience, Constance, that you want to cover. I know that with you, perhaps the implementation was not as fast as Andre, right? Like I think it took us a little bit longer because the implementation was also a little bit complex. We were doing desktop automation for you, which is towards a little bit more complex thing, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yeah. So we started with focusing on constructing the knowledge base for our bot and for IT. That way we could at least show Q&A and how it can work for the rest of the company. But then when it all was said and done, we didn't go live until October of 2023 because I knew that in order to get my operators to remember that Stewart existed, I
Yeah,
needed to give them something that made them want to use him on a regular basis. So that's
gotcha.
why I ended up creating a restaurant operations screen. Before, my restaurants would have to go to, or my operators would have to either go to the point of sale terminal themselves or go back to the office to go run some of these fixes and turning happy hour on during football games, those kind of items. And now with the manager, with their manager tablet at their hip, they can now talk to Stewart and have Stewart help them while they're on the floor without removing them from service.
Yeah, because in your case, I remember that the implementation became more than just an IT help desk implementation. It became a restaurant. It also became the question problem definition that you put in front of us was, how do I support my restaurants better, right? It's not just about IT support. How do I get my restaurants to operate better? That was it. So it changed the complexion, and we said let's work together to figure out that solution. So one thing I want to ask both of you though, right? If someone new who's implementing an AI-based solution, do you have any like you have been that on journey, you have done it. No, having done that, what is your recommendation? What should they kind of think about? What are the key things you wish you knew before such an implementation?
I guess I'll start. So one of the things that was helpful for me was understanding how my users like to communicate,
Mhm.
because that if you're trying to have them communicate in a way that they are not comfortable with, they're not going to use the solution.
Mhm.
So understanding what Resolve AI has as far as how to communicate and how to implement all of the different options
Mhm.
was one of the bigger pieces on making sure that implementation went smoothly. And again, I can't emphasize enough if there are companies out there that use Microsoft Teams as their main portal of communication, being able
Absolutely.
to use Resolve AI, just having the little option in the corner, just click on it, Resolve AI bot, whatever you want to name it. It started being fun for them. They started asking like ridiculous questions just to see what it would respond. But because it's AI driven, it would give some very intelligent answers, and that's driven the acceptance rate of how to implement this solution. So that's one of the main things I would say to look out for.
Constance, any words of wisdom for people who want to go down this road?
Yeah, I would just say make sure whatever you choose to throw AI behind is something that your team can handle at the very beginning. It was a little different for my setup. Teams was brand new.
Mhm.
For corporate, we had been using it. For the restaurants, we hadn't been. And so I kept trying to get them to really engage because I told them, you guys have teams now. You can actually talk to your other operators. And instead of, just sitting in an email or plain old telephone system, which is what they're used to, you actually have a chat service right here. So having a Stewart there now has helped a lot. The fact that I threw in restaurant operations screen made them start using it and it made them want to talk to it once they got to the office level.
That's a brilliant move, isn't it? Like giving them exactly what they want, right? What is important for them. We think we know what is important for them, but if we can find out what is important for them, that can really help. So I'm gonna give you, Constance, I know you have a couple of slides you wanted to share. And by the way, we are getting constantly a lot of questions. So I'm going to read out the questions to you guys. just so you can react. So one question is, my concern is about human touch balancing AI-driven automation and with personal touch. So that's one question. And maybe live chat is a kind of, I'll also take a shot at this one, but that's one question. Second question that came from Gil is trying to understand current practical use. What is AI doing today and any stats on preliminary results? Right. So I think we are going to share some of the preliminary result with them. So I think they will see, Gil will see what we want. So with that being said, Constance, I'm going to let you talk about a little bit of your case study, if you will, like what happened once you implemented it.
Yeah, sure. We're kind of on some old technology infrastructure, so things can go bump. So during after hour support, usually we would get calls just for things that needed to be rebooted, services that needed to be rebooted. That's why our after hours calls have gone from 90% to 10%, because now Stuart can do most of the things that the restaurants would call us for during after hours. During on hours, we've cut down about half. We still have some stragglers. Usually it's the new managers that haven't fully been introduced to Stewart that we get those calls that Stewart could have handled during on hours. But yeah, the swift adoption rate, it's all in thanks to my operations brass. Right down to the regional directors, they ended up telling all of their managers, you better start using Stewart. So we've gotten to the point now where when my restaurants do call or send an email needing help, they say, I know what you're going to say. I've already asked Stuart. So it's great.
Amazing. And that's true, isn't it? Like we can do it all ourselves, right? You need buy-in from other departments, and if they see the value, then they'll push it for themselves. And once that's the initial hump of people not engaging, but once they engage, then life becomes easier, right? It's only to that extent to get them engaged. Maybe you need a little bit of push from different department heads. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. Um, I see you have some really
Yes.
interesting and with the interesting face too. If I'm not wrong, this face has some significance to Black Angus,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, so this is my actual restaurant operations screen. This is what my managers absolutely love. And actually the part in the middle where you see my store number, I've actually given this access to not only restaurants for their specific restaurant, but the regional directors can be anywhere and pull up their phone and use Stewart to turn on happy hour for their Santa Ana location, even if they're not there. And then the bottom section, create Angus PL, that type of stuff. That's only available for true admins. IT will be the only ones that see that. But we've made this such a great screen that we actually have the ability to make the RDs feel like they have control over tech solutions within their restaurants that they own too. And then the other screenshot, this is just me showing I'm even using Stewart to encourage collaboration between my restaurants. So they'll ask Stewart a question and Stewart will respond to them and say, don't send that email to IT about this item. Go to this channel in Teams and ask your question. And half the time now, they'll go and ask that question, and it really didn't have anything to do with a menu item missing, but they just didn't know where to find it. And another restaurant sees it and goes, hey guys, you'll find it here. And my hands, I'm out of it. I love it.
That's amazing, right? Like if it can be more than just, and if someone just came on this slide and they were just watching this, they would not guess that we are talking about a ticketing system at all, right? Like this is not how ticketing systems look like traditionally, right? Like this is not the conversation that we'll be having about a ticketing system. Ticketing system are just to create a ticket, right? Like that's the part that I love about this entire thing. So what's your future plan, Constance? What are you planning to do next? Oh, you're on mute, sorry.
My future plans, one, AI coexistence. We need to find a way to have AI coexist in a people-centric industry. The next thing we want to do for back of house is to find the mundane tasks that Stewart can actually help our employees with. I don't want them to have to worry about line checks, or when my janitor shows up, Stuart should be able to say, hey, this is the last time you did a full sweep, a full wipe down of this area was a month ago. It's time to do that part today, that kind of stuff. Really, I want an entire digital cobot. That's what I want Stuart to be, whether it be front of house or back of house. I mean, look, we're sitting on so much data that we would love for Stuart to start analyzing it for us.
And we had some very interesting conversations about that, right? Like that's it goes a little bit beyond service desk, but and I want to mention to everyone here, there's something new that is happening in the world of generative AI, which is generative AI based analytics, right? Because generative AI can read text and read material, therefore it has ability to and kind of judge things, right? It can provide a score. There's a whole new area opening up in the world called generative AI based analytics, where you can have generative AI read something and rate things for you or give analysis, or I'm talking more than Copilot though, right? Like Copilot is great, but I'm talking about things like reading a huge amount of past tickets or logs, and then giving me information that I can use to do something about it, right? Or rating thousands of tickets to tell me the trends and analysis on that. So this is some kind of new stuff which has been happening, and those are the kind of things that are very interesting. So I just want to add one thing. Some of the things that we explained here are actually desktop automation, right? So there are two kind of automation in our world. One automation is when you call an API and get things done in a cloud infrastructure, like Andre was explaining. But also this other kind is if you want some PowerShell script to be run either in a server or in a desktop, right? Like in your case, Constance. So you press a button or you tell a bot to do something, and bot in turn can then, with the help of a desktop agent or agent on a server, can run PowerShell scripts. And that really increases the reach of the solution, right? Like it's not just, okay, I can provide you an answer, sure, which is great. I can take care of tasks which I need to call an API. But now I can also do those tasks for which I need to run a PowerShell script. And I think those are some of the things that you have implemented. So it's a pretty interesting use case, even for us, right? This is a very interesting use case. Andre, I'm going to come back to you. Tell us a little bit about, the details of your implementation and where you're planning to go next and stuff like that.
Yeah, so one of the driving forces for implementing this was, again, the growth rate of the company, finding ways to automate those processes for adding members to the team. So with Rezolve AI and the way that we're able to, something Constance mentioned is customize. You can customize the life out of this platform. All you got to do is call whoever your rep is and say, hey, I want this to do this. And that has been extremely helpful with the HR and the finance teams, all these, random requests that can be automated, sometimes are one-off requests, but, given the specific circumstance, the fact that we can set that up within this system and to work with, ADP, to work with some of the other systems out there that we need to get people up and running is a huge plus. With regards to software and hardware requests, all those things, like the fact that you have the platform, you can visualize. I think it's Coggle is what you're.
Yes, Coggle.
Yeah, so Coggle, like just that being able to visualize the workflow and see how you want things to work and make little tweaks and adjustments is definitely a benefit of this application. And the tailored alerts, real-time updates, all these things that, if it's something that wasn't possible with some of the other solutions, all we have to do is call you and say, hey, can you do this? And I haven't had a time yet where you have not been able to do it. So that's been very, very much a great part of this application. And then just moving forward, again, our goal is to make, again, any solution that we have in place easy to use and understand and interface with. So there's going to be a lot of implementation with the cloud-based systems that we use, because that's a goal of ours. I don't want any servers at any of my locations. And it's actually possible with the use of the cloud and AI. So making sure that this system can manage those requests, send the right approval request to the right person, and once it's approved, it automatically happens. That's where we're going with this application.
Amazing. I want to add, there are a lot of questions pouring in, so I'm going to just push out some questions and you guys can react and maybe I can also react. So first question is from Casey saying, how is the data security and how it relates to the tool? Can it align with HIPAA, FERPA, COPPA? So I can respond to that. It's SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, ISO 27001 compliant, GDPR compliant, and HIPAA compliant, right? So we are compliant to all those four systems. We are trying to get government FedRAMP medium compliance done as well. We are in the process of that. So that takes care of one question. Second question someone asked is, any top three metrics that you should measure for the ROI for AI investment? I can let you guys react to it and then I can add to it. Any metrics that you have in mind? I mean, I typically talk about easiest metrics is how many, percentage of tickets auto deflected, right? That's the easiest metrics to look at. Like, is 20% of my tickets auto deflected, 30%, right? Like, all those kind of things. And honestly, I've written a lot about this topic. So I'm happy to, the attendee who wrote this, if you want to shoot a email back to me, I can point to a couple of articles and white papers that I have written personally on this topic. It's a topic of huge interest for me. How do you measure the ROI? What are the metrics, right? What is the success criteria? Things of that nature. I'm happy to kind of, do that. Anything you want to add, Constant and Andre, to that metric and ROI thing?
Yeah, for mine right now, ROI was all about the decrease in calls to IT. That was the one thing we were measuring. Now it's how many interactions I actually have with the bot. And now that I've got HR finally starting to spin up their FAQ, that we're gonna see. I have a feeling we're gonna see way more interaction with that bot just off of them.
I think one of the metrics that I like to look at is the understand rate of the questions that are posed in the chat. Sometimes, AI is not perfect. So there are going to be some questions, maybe some language that the bot didn't understand, and it'll keep track of that. So that I like to look at that report to see how many questions are not understood by the bot, so we can make little tweaks and adjustments to make sure that if that question is asked again, it can be answered correctly. So I focus on that, and then response time or resolution time for tickets based on how the users are using it, the system, how long it takes them to find a resolve. So those are the two things I focus on.
Perfect. No, fantastic. I'm gonna go and these are the things, Andre, that you talked about you want to do more of, right, as you go forward.
Correct. Yeah. So that, yeah, and definitely, again, just especially with the guest facing piece of AI and automation as far as guest preferences, there's just I can't even begin to boil down exactly how many different aspects AI would be used, and within that, this Rezolve ticketing system or this Rezolve platform would be an aid in making sure that implementation happens seamlessly and easily for everyone involved. But yeah, there's so much when you talk about the future of AI and what we plan on doing. Again, we want to make sure that the guest experience is our main focus in the hospitality industry. I'm sure Constance would say the same, that you want to make sure your guest is happy with whatever they're eating. For us, we want to make sure they literally feel at home with all of their technology. And when you have an implementation system that uses AI to kind of predict what people are going to ask for, we're at that point where we have enough metrics to understand that if people like extra pillows, have those pillows in the room before they check in, as soon as they make the reservation. if they're allergic to garlic. Make sure that the restaurant gets a heads up as soon as they check in. If it's coming from this specific room, don't put any garlic in there. So it's that extensive usage of AI and metrics, making sure that guest preferences are there while at the same time keeping the privacy. That's the challenge, making sure that the privacy concerns are also recognized when we're implementing all of these solutions. So that's a huge future aspirational, is everything customized before the user even checks in. And this is essentially where we're going.
Like I said, I love that experience, right? If that happens, and I'm sure it is happening in some places, and I love to have that experience. But I think that's where we are headed, right? That's the direction that we are headed. Um, I just want to add that, when many people think of Resolve.ai, because we have been a company that has been evolving, they don't realize that we have a lot of different, aspect to the product. So there's incident, but there's also problem and change, the one that we are mentioning. There's a service catalog, there's dashboard and reporting, there's generative AI-based knowledge management, Microsoft Teams, etc., etc. Right? For asset management, we integrate with third-party tools. That's how we bring the asset management. We don't have our own, but we integrate with third-party, and we recommend some tools actually. Right? So, and in terms of the focus for us, right? The focus has always been very simple, right? We are kind of, we don't claim crazy stuff like 90% or 130% ticket reduction or something like crazy like that. But we do talk about 25 to 30% ticket deflected within 6 months of implementation, right? That's a key metric for me. I think there was a question around metric, and I think that's a key metric, that it's a reasonable metric. It's not outlandish. It's not nothing, right? This is the metric that'll help you push the dial in wherever you are to the next level. And we do that using, as everyone was talking about, Microsoft Teams, Automation Studio, and generative AI based power. So AI, which was AI earlier and generative AI now. So we did launch a generative AI component to our product. That was another question around it. So that's how it kind of works. And essentially what happens is, when you come in from a user, and our idea is to give them a frictionless experience, right? When they come in, there's a bunch of, they can come, by the way, there's a new feature where you can write emails, and even the emails will be read by generative AI. So generative AI can read emails that you are receiving from a shared mailbox and respond to them and take action on them based on what is written in the email. So these are not your old-fashioned, they are very smart email, generative AI-based email response. And then, of course, you come via Microsoft Teams. You can even live chat with a person if needed. I know there was a question around that. You can talk to other enterprises. You can get automation done. Your knowledge might be sitting in SharePoint, and the bot can receive it. And so a lot of change in the platform over the years, and a lot of new features that have been added into it. And this is how, for the people in the system who want a visual of what it looks like, this is how it can look like in Teams for you. All right, just so you can see that you can ask a question and boom, there's an answer. And this is even complex system like employee onboarding can be done, right? So if you are doing employee onboarding, for example, you can do almost complete employee onboarding right here, including provisioning, licensing, and creating profiles and stuff like that in a single place using AI and automation. You can achieve that right here. So I just wanted to give a couple of visuals here, but I think we are towards the end. Let me see if there are any questions here. There was some automation question, I believe, that is answered. So, as an ending comment, what do you think Service Desk, where do you think Service Desk is headed in 2 or 3 years, right? And how do you think your businesses will be viewing your Service Desk in 2 or 3 years? Because, I always look at Service Desk in context of business, right? Like I know a lot of people think Service Desk is an entity by itself, I think, but we are here to, respond to business needs, and, we are reactive to what business wants us to do in each of our industries. So what do you think, where are we headed with this, right? In 2 or 3 years, what kind of Service Desk will exist?
Well, for myself, this part of Stewart FAQ and restaurant operations, that was really just the beginning. That was a way to show my restaurant crew that it is possible to use it. But from here on out, I'm all concerned about data analytics. That's where it's going to go. Right now, we're sitting on a mountain of data that hasn't even been properly analyzed in my company. Last year, we had 3 million customers that patroned us. That's at minimum 10 data points, right? From menu mix, analyzing what dishes are popular, what dishes need a little extra love. We can use AI to identify trends and suggest adjustments to keep our culinary lineup fresh and exciting. Seasonal insights, understanding seasonal patterns, whether it's cozy soups in the winter or refreshing salads in the summer. AI could help us plan ahead. Special occasions, birthdays, anniversaries, celebrations, these moments matter to our guests, and AI can personalize recommendations and promotions for making each of those visits memorable. We haven't even talked about social media buzz. What are people saying about Black Angus online? AI-powered sentiment analysis can also track social media chatter, reviews, and hashtags. And what about keyword searches? How often does the word steak pop up in a search? Brand recognition. I mean, there's a lot with large language models and Gen AI, the sky's the limit, and it'll allow us to be more nimble and adapt more instantly to our customers' needs.
Yeah, I agree with you that especially with generative AI and data analytics, the where these two meet, it is going to be explosion, right? Like it's literally going to be a huge explosion. In next, we are just at the very beginning of this journey, right? If you look like literally 6 months down the road, you've seen how people talk about certain thing, right? So 1 year back, Gen AI, Gen AI, Gen AI, Gen AI, Gen AI, right? I can assure you in 6 months from now, people are going to be talking about Gen AI based analytics, and that's all they will talk about for next 6 months, right? Like it's coming, it's about to happen, it's going to explode. I agree with you where you think the Gen AI is going to be playing a role with service with the your industry. Andy, what do you think? What about your industry?
Yeah, so again, our industry, we have so many different facets of the industry that would benefit from, the generative AI, the analytics, whether it's revenue management, trying to make sure to have the appropriate rate for their room night, or whether it's, housekeeping with how many sheets they're going to need for any busy hotel night. Like there's endless application for this type of generative AI, and I'm just excited to see again the amount of integration between the systems, because that's going to be our next goal, is to see how much we can do with how small of a band. I don't know if you remember the movie Star Trek Into the Darkness. I use this example all the time, but in that movie there is this huge ship, and you only needed two people to man it. And that's kind of what the AI is we're gonna have such a big ship to man, but you won't need that many people if we use the technology correctly. So that's where we're going in the hospitality industry with this technology.
No, I didn't realize you're a fellow Trekkie. So uh, we're definitely going to end this with, uh, you know, um, um, live long and prosper. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think and I want to add this that the role of service desk is going to increase, right? Earlier we used to define the role of the service desk as very narrow, right? I see the service desk definition is going to increase, and also the role of the service desk manager is going to change, right? Like they are going to be more connected to business. They're going to take more ownership for more things, and by the way, they will become the powerhouse of automation. My personal, and this is my constant theme. I've written about this. I've talked about this. Service desk managers are going to be the automation kings and queens of their company. It's a given because they will have the tool, they will have the understanding of the business, because today both of you talk the business language, right? Like just imagine how much business you talked about it. Your understanding of your business is, I was really impressed, because you have been living that, right? So the person who understands the business and also has the tools to automate, why would you hire an external third party expensive company to come automate for you. When you know your business, you know your technology landscape, you know the ecosystem that you have, and you know the business needs, and you can communicate with them. I really think in next 3 to 4 years, service desk role is going to change. It is going to get bigger. It is not going to be just manage your employee satisfaction and tell me if you should do it in the lowest possible budget. I think it's going to switch to, hey, you have a seat on the table in terms of what we are trying to do in our business in next strategic plan, and we want your input in terms of how you're going to use Gen AI and automation, and where can you cut inefficiencies in our system, and how can you help to even grow our revenue. And that is entirely different conversation than what we have been seeing so far. So that's at least what I think. Any last words, Constance and Andre, on this webinar?
No, just that I'm excited to continue get my bot to be very robust bot.
Cool. I just want to say thank you for having us on, allowing us to express ourselves and contribute to the growth of AI.
Thank you so much. Great conversation. A lot of questions from the audience. Great audience here. Feel free to write to us, and thanks everyone for joining today. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.